There's a killer out there. A cold-blooded murderer who lived among us, undetected, for years. A case that seemed ordinary on the surface, yet beneath it, something much darker was concealed. The question that haunted everyone involved: how did this happen? Could this be the case that shatters everything you thought you knew about justice? How could evil hide so close to home, unnoticed for so long? The chilling truth, hidden in plain sight, will force you to ask, what did we all miss? Sarah Parker was the kind of person who brightened any room she entered. The kind of woman whose smile lit up even the darkest days. She was the perfect daughter, the best friend anyone could ask for, always the one who made you feel like you were the most important person in the world. Her life, filled with dreams and possibilities, seemed destined for great things. But that all changed on one fateful night. It was late when she was last seen. Walking home after a late dinner with friends in the heart of her quiet, close-knit neighborhood. No one thought twice. After all, the streets were always safe, or so they thought. And then, just like that, she vanished. The following morning, a neighbor would make the discovery that would shake the community to its core. A body, cold and lifeless, lying in a dark alley behind an old building, abandoned and forgotten. The very same alley that had seen so many people walk past, day after day, without so much as a second glance. The air around the alley felt different. There was an oppressive stillness, a weight in the atmosphere that the usual sounds of a suburban neighborhood couldn't pierce. The smell of damp concrete mixed with the faint echoes of distant sirens that came too late. No one could have prepared for what they were about to find. Sarah had been brutally attacked, but this wasn't just a random act of violence. Something didn't add up. It wasn't until the detectives arrived and began their investigation that the true horror began to unfold. At first, the police thought it was a robbery gone wrong. A victim of circumstance, left in an alley as a result of a botched crime. But something was off, something the detectives couldn't ignore. The way Sarah's body was positioned, the signs of struggle, it didn't add up to a random act. And soon, the investigation would take a dark turn. The initial suspect? Someone the community knew all too well, someone who was seen as harmless. A man who lived just 2 streets over, always friendly, always quiet. It seemed like an easy conclusion, but the more they dug, the more questions arose. But the truth? It was far more unsettling than anyone could have imagined. The police soon uncovered a pattern, one that linked Sarah's death to a series of events that had been happening in the town for years. Each one dismissed as coincidence. Each one covered up by a tight-knit community unwilling to face the truth about what was happening right under their noses. The killer was closer than anyone thought. In fact, they had been right there all along. Hiding in plain sight. And when the shocking revelation came, it would turn the investigation, and the lives of everyone involved, upside down. As the investigators connected the dots, they discovered something unexpected. The key to Sarah's murder was in the hands of someone no one suspected. A figure who blended into the background, someone everyone thought they knew, but no one truly did. And that was just the beginning. Detective Rachel Summers had been on the case for weeks, and yet, nothing felt right. The evidence seemed to point in one direction, but her instincts told her it was all wrong. As the days dragged on, the case became a tangled mess of contradictions. Every answer seemed to bring more questions. And then, just when she thought she had it all figured out, a new piece of evidence appeared, something that would change everything. But when Detective Summers reviewed the evidence again, something changed, something unexpected. The fingerprints found on the murder weapon, the knife, didn't match the suspect's prints. That's right. The very fingerprints that should have sealed the case were not the ones they expected. At that moment, everything she thought she knew about the case fell apart. The more they dug into the suspect's history, the more it became clear he wasn't the killer after all. There were no connections to Sarah, no clear motive, and now, the crucial evidence was casting doubt on the entire investigation. Something didn't add up, and Detective Summers knew it. But as she went deeper, a chilling thought crossed her mind. Could it have been someone from within Sarah's inner circle? She revisited the people Sarah had trusted the most, her closest friends, her family, her colleagues. And as she examined their stories, a pattern began to form. One by one, secrets came to light, revealing cracks in the alibis, discrepancies in the testimonies, and motives that were far more personal than anyone had ever imagined. Sarah's life wasn't as perfect as it appeared. The people closest to her were hiding something. But the deeper Detective Summers went, the more disturbing the truth became. Was the killer someone Sarah had trusted with her life? Or was it a shadowy figure lurking in the background, someone who had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike? The truth was murky. No one could explain what had really happened that night, and as the investigation continued, new leads seemed to open more doors than they closed. Each clue that surfaced raised more questions, adding layers of complexity to a case that was already tangled in lies. And then came the most unsettling question of all: if the killer wasn't a stranger, what was their motive? Was it a crime of passion? Was it revenge? Or was there something darker at play, something the police were still blind to? There were whispers among the town's residents, but no one dared speak the truth. Rumors swirled around the people Sarah had trusted the most. A quiet, unsettling sense of unease began to spread throughout the town, as if everyone was waiting for the moment when the final truth would emerge, when the real killer would finally be unmasked. But Detective Summers wasn't the only one digging for answers. Someone else had been watching from the shadows. Someone who had been hiding in plain sight. And what they knew could change everything. The more Detective Summers uncovered, the less certain everything became. One clue after another seemed to contradict the previous one. Evidence that was once believed to be concrete now appeared fragile, subject to doubt. She was no closer to finding the truth, but with each new lead, the case only deepened. Investigators began to look closer at Sarah's personal life. The people who had been closest to her, the ones who had known her best, were suddenly under the microscope. Every piece of evidence, every alibi, was examined under intense scrutiny. Sarah's closest friends were the first to be questioned. But the more they spoke, the more things didn't add up. Was there something they weren't saying? Or had they been so close to Sarah that they overlooked something important? Was the killer one of them? Could the murderer have been someone Sarah trusted without a doubt? Someone she never suspected? Take a closer look. Who do you think is the real killer? Could it have been someone from the family? Or what about the person everyone knew, the one who had always been there, so close to Sarah, yet hiding something far more dangerous? Everyone believed Sarah's killer had to be a stranger, someone who crossed paths with her by chance. But now, new evidence was pointing in a shocking direction. Could the killer have been someone who knew her all along? But what was the motive? Why would someone Sarah trusted do this to her? Could it be a jealous lover? A betrayed friend? Or perhaps a deeper, darker secret no one knew about? One of the new leads came from a surprising source, a small, seemingly insignificant detail. A letter found in Sarah's home. It was addressed to her, written by someone she had known for years, but the contents were chilling. Who could have written this letter? And why would it contain such disturbing words? The case was far from over. The twists kept coming, and every answer raised more questions. Who was Sarah's real enemy? And why had no one seen it coming? What was behind Sarah's death? A crime of passion, a betrayal by someone she loved, or something even darker, still hiding in plain sight? As the investigation dragged on, the toll it took on Sarah's family was immeasurable. Her mother, Linda, had not slept a single night since her daughter's death. She spent each day waiting, hoping for answers, anything to bring closure. Every phone call, every knock on the door, was a new opportunity for hope. But it always ended the same: no new leads, no new suspects. Linda would often sit by the window, staring at the street, imagining her daughter walking down it, coming home safely. But Sarah never came back. Every day without answers chipped away at the foundation of what Linda once thought was her secure life. And yet, despite everything, there was still hope. Hope that justice would be served, that the killer would be caught, and that Sarah's memory would live on in peace. But that peace seemed out of reach. Then, the investigation took a turn no one expected. Detective Summers had dug deep, uncovered secrets that no one had dared speak of, and exposed lies that had been buried beneath the surface. And at that moment, when everything seemed to be unraveling, the truth came rushing forward. When the killer was finally unmasked, it shocked everyone. It wasn't the stranger everyone had suspected, the one who seemed so obviously guilty, but someone much closer to Sarah. Someone she had trusted with her life. Her closest confidant, someone who had been there all along, had betrayed her in the most unimaginable way. The very person who had been there during her happiest moments was the one who'd turned against her. The shockwave of this revelation hit Sarah's family and friends hard. They were left questioning everything they thought they knew about the person who had once been trusted so completely. How could someone so close to Sarah have harbored such dark intentions? The line between love and hatred had blurred in a way no one could have predicted. "I can't believe it," she whispered. "How could someone we trusted, someone Sarah loved, do this to her? Was it love? Betrayal? Or perhaps something deeper, something that came from a place of pure greed, jealousy, or rage? What could possibly drive someone to kill a person they once held so dear?" The killer's motives became clearer as the investigation unraveled. It wasn't just a random act, it was personal. A deeply emotional, psychological trigger had been pulled. The killer had been living in Sarah's shadow, hiding in plain sight, until the day the temptation of revenge became too much to bear. Sarah's life had been a mirror to them, a reminder of everything they could never have. Jealousy had festered for years, building slowly and quietly, until one moment, one spark, was all it took to ignite a tragedy. Sarah's kindness, her beauty, her life, they all became the very things that would lead to her downfall. But for Sarah's family, the pain was far from over. Justice may have been served, but the scars would remain forever. As Linda sat there, watching the killer's trial unfold, she couldn't help but wonder. Could Sarah have ever known? Could she have seen it coming? Love had been twisted into something monstrous. And in the end, the killer wasn't a stranger, but someone who had hidden their true nature beneath the mask of friendship and trust. Now that the killer has been unmasked, we're left with a haunting question. Could this case have been solved sooner? What if the signs had been noticed earlier? Could Sarah still be with us today? These are the questions that will forever linger in the minds of those who were close to her. What do you think? Do you believe justice was truly served? Was the investigation handled correctly, or did the authorities miss key details that could have changed everything? Leave your thoughts below. Let us know what you think, who should have been held accountable, and what more could have been done. If you're hooked on this case, make sure to subscribe for more gripping true crime stories, deep dives, and exclusive updates. We'll keep you informed on the latest investigations, uncovering new details that could change everything you thought you knew. And if you think this case is wild, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into the investigation, with shocking new revelations just around the corner. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss an update. We're just getting started. As the investigation comes to a close, the lingering questions remain. Was this a crime of passion? A heated, emotional outburst driven by love, jealousy, or betrayal? Or was there something more, something darker at play, something we may never fully understand? We may never know the full truth behind Sarah's tragic death. But one thing is certain, the people who hid in plain sight, the ones closest to her, will carry the weight of what happened for the rest of their lives. But the story doesn't end here. In the next episode, we'll reveal shocking new details that will turn everything you thought you knew on its head. New evidence, fresh revelations, and a twist that no one saw coming. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. The truth is still out there, and we're just scratching the surface.